Story 1, she cheated, lied, and manipulated me. Now I'm left picking up the pieces. My ex and I broke up during a rough patch when she felt attacked and I took space from her for a day because of her promising me something but not delivering. She claimed she felt rejected in the past 24 hours and left me, despite me repeatedly asking if she was sure about her decision. 2 weeks later, she came back, saying she was overwhelmed, felt guilty, and wanted to work things out. I agreed but insisted on taking things at a pace I was comfortable with since she had already broken my trust. While we were working on things, I found out she was in contact with her ex-best friend, a guy who had humiliated her publicly before and verbally abused her by calling her names in front of everyone. She claimed he was reaching out during the breakup, but later, I discovered she was making moves toward him even while we were supposedly rebuilding our relationship. She slept with him on the same day I was consoling her about unrelated issues. I didn't know any of this at the time. She kept telling me that guys wouldn't leave her alone and that this guy was threatening her. I even offered to step in, but she refused. Eventually, she blocked him, saying she wanted peace. Even after this, she kept talking to another male friend who took her out for dinner and drinks and called her hot. I caught her lying about texting him when she said he was asking for a meetup. When I read the texts, I saw she had asked him to meet at a bar. She claimed she wanted to end the friendship, but I couldn't believe her anymore. That night, I initiated a breakup. She fought for the relationship, saying she hadn't given it her best shot before and wanted to try again. We tried for a bit, but I eventually ended it, saying, "I don't trust you, and even if this is a mistake, I'd rather be alone." I was exhausted. 2 weeks later, her ex-best friend reached out to me and told me she had cheated with him right after our first breakup, and that she initiated it. I didn't believe him at first, but he sent proof, including a screen recording that showed her phone number. I double-checked everything, and it all matched. When I confronted her, she denied it until I pointed out the proof. She eventually admitted it and spiraled into self-blame. During the argument, I said things I regret, including a comment about mom who was an adulterer herself. I felt bad for saying it, but her reaction was to mock me, saying, "Congrats on believing I cheated with him. Keep crying/cribbing about it until you get better, you men," and even adding that she didn't feel guilty about it. I blocked her everywhere, but I'm still so angry. A part of me wants to expose her and her mother's behavior to her family, but I know that's not the right thing to do. I'm trying to process the betrayal, lies, and manipulation, but it feels impossible to move on when I keep replaying everything. Story 2, AITA for telling my 19-year-old daughter she will have to move out of my house if I get divorced because of her lies after her stepdad saw her naked. Throwaway account due to the situation, but I need to know because I'm getting calls and text from family calling me an asshole for not being on my daughter's side. My husband and I have been married for a little over 5 years now. I will say my daughter 19F and he has an okay relationship, not exactly father and daughter but almost advice asked and given relationship basically. I have never picked up on anything weird from my husband towards my daughter and my daughter has never said or insinuated anything at all as well. On Thursday me and my husband was watching a movie in the living room. We paused the movie as he got up to use the bathroom. I heard him knocking on the door twice. Literally 3 knocks each time on the door a couple of seconds apart. It was loud enough for me to hear him knocking from the living room. The next moment I heard screaming. I rushed to the bathroom and saw my daughter completely naked covering herself and yelling at my husband that to get out. I didn't see everything that happened but what I saw after I heard yelling was my husband literally fell over his own feet and struggling to get the bathroom door closed. I asked my husband what happened and he said he knocked, nobody answered, so he went in and my daughter was naked in front of the mirror and he tried to get out. After my daughter calmed down I asked her side of what happened and she said she was changing and all of a sudden my husband walked into the bathroom. I asked her why she didn't answer him when he knocked. She said he didn't. I told her I heard him knock so I am sure that he did. She said she didn't hear it because she had her earpods in listening to music. We got the situation sorted and my husband did apologize to her and explained he thought the bathroom was empty and walked in. She even gave him a hug and apologized for yelling at him. The problem now is my daughter got family members involved and they are now calling my husband a creep. Got a call from my sister berating me for still having my husband in the house. I asked what she meant and I came out that my daughter spun a whole other story and left out the fact that she was listening to music with her earpods and is telling everyone that she answered him and he still walked into the bathroom to look at her. We have cameras in our hallway and it proves that my husband did knock as you can see it on the video, but the cameras has no audio. I sat my daughter down and asked her, and she denied saying anything like that or that she told anyone anything. I got mad and asked, then how does your aunt know what happened? And she went silent. She said she talked to her niece about it and she must have told her mother. I asked her why did she lie about what happened and made my husband look bad when he did nothing wrong. She again denied lying about anything, and I told her what my sister told me. She just started to cry and say sorry. She was just talking and making up scenarios with her niece. The whole day yesterday I got calls and texts from my family members as the story spread. The wrong story is spreading and my husband is looking like a creep to everyone. I sat my daughter down again and had her read some of the things being said about my husband and told her she has to fix this because her lying is what caused this. She refused, saying she didn't spread this and she only told her niece and doesn't want to say anything to anyone because they will think bad about her. She said they know my husband and this will just blow over. Everything did blow up when my husband walked into the living room with his bags packed and said he is going to stay with his parents for a while because he doesn't want to be in this situation anymore where he is made out to be this kind of person. My daughter broke down and apologized repeatedly and said she will fix it, by my husband still left. I told her if I get divorced because of her lies she will be moving out of my house. I told her she'd better fix what she did and tell everyone what really happened because I will not be losing a man that loves and actually cares for me like my husband does over lies. She asked me to help her and I told her no, she isn't a child anymore and her lies for attention did this. This is on her. I already tried and I'm now also being accused of taking my husband's side and not providing a safe space for my daughter. I don't know what to do. My husband asked for space and my daughter is inconsolable at the moment. I am not in the best state myself. Sorry if my post is all over the place. I don't even know if my title is correct on this post. I have reread and it still doesn't make sense to me. Update 1. Sorry for only updating now, but I'm not in the best of places at the moment and it has taken me a couple of days to get my thoughts together. I don't know what to do anymore. My husband has asked for a divorce. First let me answer a couple of questions I saw coming up repeatedly. We have locks on every door in the house. I don't know why my daughter didn't use the lock on the door. The cameras inside the house isn't pointed at any door except for the ones pointed at the front door and back door. The other camera is at the end of the hall and you can see every door in the hallway from the camera. We have a bathroom in our room but we can't use it at the moment. The water is completely shut off due to renovation of the bathroom. My husband has asked for a divorce. On Friday he came back home and asked to talk. During our talk he showed me his phone and some of the things my family members were saying about him was just outright horrible. Calling him a pedo, asking him how many times he has taken a peek before. I don't recognize any of my family anymore. I understand if he actually did something but he hasn't, and the hatred they are showing over a stupid mistake tell me they refuse to listen or they have hated him from the start and is now using this to try and get rid of him. He said he can't ever come back and this has now started to affect his work life as well. He was called into HR to explain because some of my family members have called his office. Luckily they haven't done anything and refused to do anything until a case is brought against him. They know my husband very well and I think they believe him as well because he is still working. During our talk he explained that he does love me and still does and he is happy I stood up for him, but my daughter's actions have caused too many problems, accusations, and made him scared. He explained he sat at the office and at his parents' home every day just waiting for the police to show up and arrest him. He said her lies broke him and he can't see a way to come back from it. I asked him to reconsider and that maybe we can go for counseling, but he also refused, saying everything is too broken to fix. I told him that I will kick out my daughter and told him about everything I did and told my daughter to do, but he said I'm missing the point. His life could have been completely ruined because of a lie. My family will never trust him again and will always harbor hatred or suspicions about him, especially now that my daughter want to clear things so long afterwards they will think we forced her to do it and that will just make things worse. He said he will always remain the creep in their eyes. I asked him what if I cut off my family and we moved away because I was already working on that. I showed him my phone and the message I have sent every single person so far that refused to listen and that I blocked them. He asked what about my daughter. I told him again I will be kicking her out and she will be staying with my parents from now on. He asked what if we moved away, will I abandon my daughter then because he doesn't want to be near her or be alone with her at all. I didn't know what to say about that. Before I could answer he said again it's better for us to get divorced. He said I will never ask you to abandon your daughter. I will never expect you to do something like that, but I don't want her anywhere near me. If you abandon your daughter I don't know if I could ever look at you the same afterwards, even if it was for my sake. The only solution here is for us to get divorced. My daughter came running down the hallway into the living room, Crying, I think she was listening to our conversation. Before she could get a word out, my husband jumped up from the couch and put his hands out and asked her not to get near him. He said, "Before you say anything, I will start to record the conversation now," and took out his phone. I think I saw something break in my daughter's eyes at that moment at the realization of everything hit her all at once. She asked my husband to forgive her, and she never meant for things to get so out of hand. She was just making up scenarios with her cousin, and her cousin was the one that ran with it. My husband asked her why didn't she clear it up immediately then. She said she did think it will go this far and thought it will just blow over because everyone knows him. He showed her his phone and asked her to read some of the messages, and my daughter went completely silent. We talked for about 4 hours. At the end, my husband said he will give us 3 months to move out of the house because it is his house. My daughter can keep the car because it was a gift, and that he will finish paying this year's tuition but will not pay anything going forward. He said he hasn't gotten a lawyer yet but told me to get one. He will like to do this without lawyer, but if I want to I can get one. He said he will be fair in the divorce and doesn't harbor anything against me, but he can't stay in the relationship. My daughter was just sitting on the floor looking like a ghost, and I couldn't just say anything. Listen to him talk about divorce and what will be split and what not, like it was nothing. He was talking like the last 5 years was nothing and it was just easy to move on. The best way to describe it was like he was returning something to a store. He left the house and I just sat on the couch. I don't know if I was crying, talking, or what. I can't remember much as everything was muffled around me, until my daughter started to full on crying, saying sorry, sorry, sorry over and over again, laying on the floor. I don't know how long I sat on the couch, but when I got up I saw my husband's car still in the driveway. I looked out of the window and I could see him full on crying in the car. Seeing that completely broke me. My daughter and I haven't talked since my husband was here Friday, not a word to each other. My family members have showed up to the house to apologize because apparently my daughter has all of a sudden now cleared everything up, and she herself shared the video from the camera with the family members. Every time they show up I just close the door in their faces. I have gotten Facebook, Instagram, calls and text from them, and when I block them they keep making new account of use different numbers. I don't want to lose my husband, I really don't. This is the first man I have ever met that has actually treated me with kindness, respect, and love, and now it's all over. I have tried to talk to him and tried to convince him to go to counseling with me, but every time I have tried he sends back, I can't take the risk. I have tried to meet him in person, but he just says it won't be a good idea. I have gone over to his parents' house, but they refuse to let me see him. I have gone to his work to talk to him, but I was told he was sent home by his boss. I truly don't know how to fix this. Having my daughter move out now won't work because I need to be out of the house as well. I don't want anything for my husband, I just want him. I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but I don't think I can keep the house. He owned it before we moved into the house. I really want to fix this. I still want to kick my daughter out of the house, but will he still give me a chance to fix it even after what my husband said about me abandoning my daughter and not seeing me the same afterwards? I don't know anyone. Am I really going to lose a wonderful man? Edit. I forgot how Reddit fixates on one thing. The comment about the house I made. I have not intentions of trying to take his house or anything like that. It's not my house. I had questions in my previous post about the house and I think I just answered it. I'm not going to try and take his house. He owns it and has owned it before we got together. I have no right to the house and will not try to take the house. I hope this clears it up. Update 2. Hello everyone. Been a while and I see a bunch of people asking for updates. I wasn't in the mood and I have been crying myself to sleep every night. I don't know what to do anymore. I lost my husband, family, and my daughter. Thank you to everyone first, but it's official, I'm getting divorced. I was served with the divorce papers and my husband want nothing to do with us anymore. I have moved out of the house and I am currently staying with a friend until I can get my life back in order. I have cut completely contact with my family, but they still try and get into contact with me from different numbers or from different profiles on FB and Instagram. I don't know how long I can continue to stay with my friend because her life is now being impacted as well, with my family members just showing up at her apartment. I would like to get a different place to stay, but my salary won't be able to cover everything I need. My husband or STBX covered all our bills previously, but now I have to do everything myself. My daughter just packed her things a little over a week ago and moved away. I don't know where she is at the moment and her friends are refusing to tell me anything. She tried to talk to my STBX and he got a restraining order against her. She violated the order and he got her arrested. I don't know what went on in her head. I tried to talk to her, but she was admitted that she will fix everything, but like I said, my ex got a restraining order against her and then had her arrested when she kept going to him. My daughter will have to drop out of college because my ex is now refusing to continue covering anything else for her and retracted his offer to continue paying. He sent me a message saying he done. I didn't respect his wishes, so I had to get out of his house immediately, and my daughter also went against his wishes, so he is retracting everything from her as well. She is on her own. He said if I or my daughter continues harassing him, he will open up a case against my daughter for defamation. I don't have enough money for myself at the moment with my job and all the bills, so I definitely can't assist her. She packed up in the middle of the night and just left after I told her she will have to drop out and get a job. My STBXH became completely emotionless and cold the last couple of weeks and refused to talk to me about anything other than anything regarding the divorce. He said he would have been supportive and assisted for a while until I could get on my feet, but it's clear we only want to use his generosity, so he is done. He wanted to void the prenup we have, but will now follow the prenup to the letter, meaning I will basically get nothing in the divorce. I don't want anything, I just want him back. Even with everything that happened, I still want my husband, the kind, caring, sweet man I had. I want him back. I need him to come back. I told him my daughter moved out of the house and asked again if we could try and fix our marriage, and he didn't even respond. The last message I got from him was him asking if I signed the divorce papers yet, or if I got a lawyer yet to look over the divorce papers. Because he want to be done with this and move on, because it's clear to him now that no one in my family, me included, respected him at all. In that message he also said I should get my family to back off because they are still harassing him with message, calls and email, and he is sick of it. If they don't stop, Het will report them as well. To the people that keep asking me why I didn't do anything when the lies started to spread, I did do everything I could. I was accused of protecting my creep of a husband, and the video didn't help because I did send it to some of my relatives, but it has no audio, so it only shows him knocking and then walking, and my daughter said she answered him and he still went in. Story 3. AITA for threatening my brother and cutting him off after he harassed my wife. I am using dummy account because right now only my family and my wife's family and friends knows about what my brother did. I don't want my colleagues to know about this shitty situation that I am in. My wife and I both am 28, my younger brother is 25, my wife and I have dated for 3 years and got married last year. We love each other, we are dedicated to each other, trust each other, we never hide anything from each other. I knew my brother was always jealous of me and my wife's relationship even when we were dating. He was always trying to say indirectly that my wife doesn't deserve me, that I got lucky and stuff like that. My wife and I avoided my family cause my brother would always berate us and make BS remarks. I didn't even want to invite him in our wedding, but my wife forced me. But this time my brother went too fucking far. He'd basically resorted to harassing my wife and started spreading false rumors about her. I didn't know anything about this until 4 days ago. I saw my wife crying. I was shocked, and when I asked her, she said, "It's nothing to worry about." I had to pressure her, and she finally told me that my brother has been telling everyone that my wife is into him and is trying to be with him. I saw the screenshots she got from relatives and her friends. I got angry and immediately went to my parents and told them everything. They called my brother and I asked him why is he spreading rumors about my wife. He said he isn't. After my dad forced him, he said that my wife wants him, and I am not good enough for her. I asked him if he has any proof if my wife ever approached him. He said he deleted the conversation for my sake. Not gonna lie, I lost my shit right there. I said that I don't want you anywhere near me or my wife. Stay out of our lives, do your own thing and stop interfering. You are harassing my wife and defaming her. My mom said that I shouldn't threaten my brother over a woman. She said, brothers should help each other, not fight each other. I said I have had enough of this shit. Harassing and defaming your sil is a low blow, and if he doesn't quit I will beat the shit out of him myself. Now my mom along with my other family members are saying that I went too far by threatening my brother and I should apologize. But did I really go too far? He harasses my wife, defame her while she always tried to help him, and she kept it all hidden from everyone to protect him. I wonder if there is anything I can do to avoid breaking our family and we get along. I don't know. Update. My younger brother is so stupid. He started spreading rumors about my wife, his own sil, and harassed her, and I am so fucking angry at him for what he did. So today, just 4 hours ago, I told my wife I want to sue him because he is defaming you and you shouldn't cover up for him just because he's my brother. My wife said she didn't want to break my family over something like this and she wants me to forgive my brother. I was so fucking angry, like who wouldn't be? If their wife is being shamed publicly. I told my wife that I should deal with my family as I see fit and my fucking brother. My wife didn't say anything and she just went to our bedroom. I called my parents and said that it's disgusting that you would side with my brother when he humiliated my wife and started spreading rumors about my wife that somehow my wife is into him, and I hung up on them. I also called my brother and told him that he should stay the fuck away from us and I am suing him. He said he is sorry. I said I don't care cause you defamed my wife publicly and I cannot forgive you. I told my wife that I am taking legal actions and my wife said that she's fine with my decision. But my parents, my brother, and my other relatives keep texting me and basically they're saying that I am going too far. I am not picking up their calls, but I did read their text and they asked me to talk to them and I shouldn't go with legal actions. I try my best to ignore them, but he insulted my wife, defamed her, spread rumors about her. How do I forgive him? Yes, he is my brother, but this time he went too fucking far. Am I the asshole if I take legal actions against my brother, or should I forgive him for my family's sake? Story 4. I fell out of love with my husband after he cheated. And now I'm pregnant. My husband, 34, have a roller coaster of a marriage. Both of us are in the military and active duty. He has a kid that was the result of an affair from his previous marriage. They were never together and he had lied to her about his relationship status. From what both of them have described, they were just a fling and simply enjoying each other's company while overseas that resulted in the birth of their son. As far as I know, he has never cheated on me with her and she has a partner. I did my best to go out on lunches with her and just have a basic friendly relationship so that he knew who would be spending time around her kid. The issue with this situation is that he lacked basic boundaries with her and she had caused so many issues in our marriage. She was super disrespectful and hateful at times. She expected a copy of the key to our home when we moved in together, just to give you a glimpse of the hell I have tolerated. We also did not move in with one another after getting married until nearly 7 months later because of her. Now he is in co-parenting counseling and trying to build boundaries and work on standing up to her in general. On to the cheating. A month after we got married, I checked his phone in front of him because it was the middle of the night and his BM had texted him. I did not see anything flirtatious or suspicious in their messages. However, I found other texts that were silenced from another female from his old unit. He was calling her romantic names and being flirtatious. Outside of that, I do not know if they did anything physical. Then I found messages of him sexting a former lower-ranking subordinate of his that he had deployed with prior to us meeting. All this time he said they were just friends, but they were actually FWB. Then there were a slew of nudes he had sent another female on Snap that was supposedly from another duty station. I was devastated. I never saw it coming despite of the issues I had endured with his BM. He showed me so much love, bought a house for us, posted me, took me out on impromptu dates, and sent me long love text messages at random. I wanted to leave him, but ultimately I decided to stay. 11 months later, we were already a few months into marriage counseling. I was starting to feel safe with him once again when the nagging gut feeling hit me and I decided to snoop in his phone. Again, he was sending flirtatious messages with another subordinate at work. He tried to lie again, but ultimately admitted to being flirtatious, but was adamant that they had not been physical and that she had just gotten married. I was devastated. When I threatened to tell his chain of command out of anger, he tried to kick me out of the house. I had never seen him so angry. Out of fear, I retracted my threat. Stupidly, I stayed with him. During that time we were also actively going through infertility treatments and I have done about 6 or 7 IUIs. After this discovery, I decided to take a break. I had put my career on hold for a year because in the military, you have physical restrictions while undergoing infertility treatments. Anyways, I didn't report him, but someone else ended up reporting him for sexual harassment and he tried to chalk it up to being some BS statement. They found him guilty and are currently trying to kick him out. From what he's described, it was just a he said/she said ordeal, but from my understanding, you have to do something pretty bad to get the boot. He had a spotless career and it was his pride and joy. Fast forward to now, we are still in therapy and once again I decided to forgive him and pray that God would change him. I stupidly tried 2 more rounds of infertility treatments before I found out the verdict of his investigation. I decided on Halloween that I was done, and started secretly making appointments to look at rentals to leave. Then I found out I was pregnant. That's when the real sadness hit. With my ex, I had also undergone infertility treatments for years and even fostered before giving up and enlisting in the military. I had made my peace with never bearing children until I met my husband. So now that I was finally pregnant with my miracle baby, and I despise the man I conceived with, I just don't feel the same love and empathy I once held for him. After so many lies and betrayals, I have no more grace to give. I felt so low that I even considered abortion. I'm at a loss of what to do. I'm sorry for the rambling and for how long the post is. I tried to fix formatting and shorten it, but I'm on my phone. I know I am so stupid for tolerating the first issue with his BM, much less the cheating and lies. I just didn't feel right walking away without knowing I had done everything in my power to fix things and make it work. Any advice is greatly appreciated. Story 5. Last weekend I drunkenly flashed my husband's friends and he still can't let it go. I've apologized and promised to not drink again. What more can I do? It's nearly 6 a.m. here and he has yet again woke me up at 2 a.m. to tell me how much he hates me and how disappointed he is in me. Last Saturday I went out to lunch with friends. I've probably only ever been drunk 10 times in my whole life and this is one of them. I wasn't terribly drunk but I was definitely tipsy. It was about 4 p.m. when I got home and my husband's had 2 friends around watching football with him. My phone was dying so I went to get the charger which was plugged in near the TV and I was blocking it as I struggled to reach the charger. They were playfully telling me to get out of the way and booing me when one of them said, "Move your arse, we're trying to watch the match," and I genuinely don't know what came over me as I've never done anything like this before but I turned around and pulled my top and bra down and said, "Watch these instead." I feel so embarrassed just writing that. They all sat there in shock and there was an awkward couple of seconds of silence and then I just left the room as quickly as I could, without my charger. After they left my husband came upstairs and was screaming and shouting at me that I embarrassed him, cheated on him, he hates me, he insulted my looks and age a few times which I won't repeat here. I just kept apologizing and said I'd make it up to him. The next day I again said sorry and I would leave if that's what he wanted or I'd do anything to make it up to him. He ended up writing me a list of things I had to do to make it up to him. The list was 1. Don't drink. I can handle that as like I said I don't drink anyway. 2. Delete his 2 friends who were round off social media. I did that. 3. Do all the cooking and cleaning for a month. Okay. 4. Message the girlfriends of the friends telling them what I did and apologize. I did that, neither really cared. 5. Sleep in the spare room until he wants me back in bed with him. I've done the things he asked but every night he's woken me up shouting at me and name-calling me. This morning I told him enough's enough and to either let me sleep and start to move past it or I'll go live with my mum until he decides whether he wants me or not. I know it's only been a week and it's my fault but I don't know how much more I can take. Was I harsh to say I'd leave and can I do more to make him feel better? Update. The night after I made this post he yet again woke me up shouting and shining a torch in my face so I'd had enough and went to my mum's. While there he was constantly texting me abusing and calling me names so I blocked him and then he started sending things to my mum. I went back to the house to discuss things with him and see if he wants to work on things or end things. He opened the door and once I was in he pushed me in the back to the floor calling me a slag. As I tried to get back up he kicked back down and again called me slag. I got up and said, "You're being fucking stupid. None of this is appropriate for 1 second of a boob flash." He turned around and punched me in the mouth. There was nothing dramatic after that I just turned around and walked back out. I've saved the pictures of my lip and the messages from him afterwards calling me and saying it's the least I deserve etc. I'm at my mum's now and after the new year I will ask him for a divorce and tell him that we either split fairly and quickly or I'll ring the police. Some of his friends also found my original post and have been messaging me calling me names for airing his business in public. Hello friends if you read this. All this over 1 second of boobs. And for the people asking how I'd like it if he did it. He's always topless and for those comparing my boobs to genitals, I'd laugh if he willy-coptered around the room because it's quite big so would look funny. Story 6, AITA for filing for divorce after my wife constantly threatened me with one and now she's saying I am being cruel to her and ruining her life. I, male, 28, been married to my wife, 29, for past 1 year, we dated for 2.5 years. We at first wanted to wait a bit longer but decided to ahead with marriage because we trusted each other, there were no red flags and still isn't except this one, we even had access to each other phones. The only problem while dating and during engagement was my Phil, he never liked me ever since he first met me, he would constantly argue with me, when we declared we are getting married he was pissed. My wife convinced him and he reluctantly agreed, everything was going okay in our life until a month ago, my wife's close friend came over to our house. I overheard their discussion and basically she was cheating on her husband and they were discussing about it. Her friend said she wanted to stop cheating but also wanted to hide it from her husband for his and their marriage sake. After she left I asked her why is she helping her and hiding it from her husband. She said, her loyalty lies with her friend not her husband. I said it's not morally right and her husband deserves to know. She said that her friend is going to quit cheating and nobody will ever know and I should keep quiet about it as well. Everything is going to be okay. I directly told her that now I am questioning her morality. I said if she doesn't tell him then I will and my wife freaked out and said I will not, my loyalty is with her and hers with me and her friend. I should stay out of it and mind my own business. If I betray her by going behind her back, she'll divorce me. I ignored that, but for weeks whenever I brought it up, she told me either to stay out of it or mind my own business or threaten me with divorce. 5 days ago we had a huge argument and I had enough, so I said I am filing for divorce myself. If I knew the kind of woman you are, I would have never married you. I left, but the problem is my wife is constantly texting me and calling me. She's saying I am destroying our marriage for the sake of others. She just wanted to help those who are close to her, and I am destroying her life and our marriage over something that doesn't concern us. She's saying I am destroying her life because she took a huge loan before we got married to pay her siblings' student loans, and I promised to help her pay it, and I bought my house before we got married, so I'll kept it, and alimony will be very less cause our earnings are almost the same. I said that's not my problem anymore. You showed me your true face and you were defending cheaters, but she, along with her family and even some of my cousins, are saying I am going too far. I promised to help her and I can't back down and ruin a woman's life when she did nothing wrong to me. So am I the asshole? I didn't want to lose her, but how can I trust someone who defends a cheater? Story 7. My husband of 2 years found out some unsavory details about my past, and I'm scared it could lead to divorce. I'll try and keep this short. We've known each other 5 years, been married for 2 years, and up until last weekend things were perfectly fine. Maybe once in a while we'd bicker about money or something, but 99% of the time we were happy together. While out last weekend for a friend's birthday, now ex-friend of mine told my husband about a relationship I had in college. My husband knew about my college boyfriend, but obviously I didn't share intimate details about our sex life. Well, it came out that I used to engage in threesomes with him and his male roommate. Probably 12 to 15 in total, but all my husband knows is that it was more than once. College was a totally different time in my life. I was drinking every weekend, doing recreational drugs every month, partying, having casual flings, just like everyone else at that age. It was a hedonistic, live-for-today lifestyle that I thankfully grew out of. I look back on those years with a lot of regrets, and not just about my sex life. I mean, it was 10 plus years ago. I'm a totally different person now. Regardless, I know my husband sees me in a totally different light. He hasn't slept in our bed since he found out, and he's barely spoken to me all week. I'm so scared he'll divorce me. I'm walking on eggshells just trying to stay out of his way while he works through this. I really want to sit him down and clear the air, I just don't know where to begin. I feel like one slip of the tongue in our relationship could be completely over. I know I'm not a good person for keeping this from him, so please don't lecture me. It was a chapter of my life I'd thought I'd closed for good. It was my one secret, and I honestly debated telling him about it but came to the conclusion that no positive outcome could come from it. Update. As of this morning, we still hadn't slept in the same bed or spoken more than 10 words to each other in passing. As I was waking up, he was walking in the front door with 2 coffees. He sat me down at our kitchen table and finally opened up to me. Basically, he feels that he was conned, his word, into the marriage, saying that he wouldn't have even dated me, let alone married me, if he'd known what he knows now. His view of me has been irreparably changed and he no longer sees me as someone worthy of being his wife. Quoting him here, loving prick, beyond the sexual aspect, he says he no longer trusts me because I kept something this big from him our whole relationship. Nothing I could do or say could convince him that these were past mistakes and not reflective of who I am today. He wasn't angry with me, didn't call me a slut or anything like that. Never once raised his voice. Part of me wishes he did, although I can't exactly say why right now. It felt like I was being laid off from a job. So that's it. We are getting divorced. My supposed life partner turning his back on me without a second thought. He didn't even have the decency to discuss it with me first. Apparently he visited his lawyer during the weekend. The process is in motion, his words. Knowing him, there is absolutely no changing his mind. My husband owns multiple businesses and wouldn't get married without a prenup. I signed it, honest to God, thinking we'd never, ever have to use it. Well, he had the loving document with him this morning. He said he'd pay off the remainder of my student loans, which he isn't legally obligated to do. While I appreciate that, I'm going to meet with my lawyer this week and see if the agreement can be challenged in court. We have built a life together. I gave him 5 of the best years of my life and I've been 100% faithful to him. I don't loving deserve to be tossed out like a piece of trash. So that's it. My life turned upside down in the span of a week, over something I did 10 plus years ago before I even knew him. It's loving asinine. The thing is, even as I wrote the original post, in the back of my mind I knew he was through with me. He's ended friendships and business partnerships over less. Story 8. I'm the OW in what seems to be an emotional affair with a coworker. How do I get out of it? I know the answer is probably obvious here but will explain anyways. My coworker, male, 40, and I, female, 29, have been good friends for about a year. I have never found a married or partnered man attractive and am on high alert of crossed boundaries with married men due to the way I was treated in a past relationship. I definitely let my guard down over the last year. I have spent a lot of time with my closest coworkers and their spouses, openly discussed my own dating life as I would with my friends, but not with a man I was interested in. I've spent several important occasions with him and his wife, etc. I never felt like any boundaries were crossed and loved this couple's story. They were college sweethearts and have the sweetest relationship, and the three of us are all from Dallas but living in a different city now. I never got the sense from my male coworker, Jack, that he would be the type to have an affair or cheat based on how he and his wife interact, which I know is naive of me, and that is very attractive to me in a way where I'd want my future partner to be like him in that way. Not that I was attracted to him. My other friends and I have an edgy sense of humor, very flirtatious and definitely over the line to some, but we are mostly all straight women or gay men, so there was never really a need to censor ourselves. When I befriended these coworkers and their spouses, they had the same sense of humor, and I didn't think anything of it since I always saw their relationships as so secure. Back to my male coworker, Jack. He and I are definitely rowdier than the rest and make extremely over-the-top jokes to each other, especially over text after work. It used to only be about our attractive CEO or these lawyers who share space in our building or things like that, but this past week it crossed into being about each other. I am 100% taking accountability for the fact that I didn't shut it down sooner or pivot the conversation, but I've been worried how to do so without making it uncomfortable in the workplace, not super logical, just my emotional response. Since allowing it to happen without shutting it down, he's escalating a lot and I'm worried it's officially crossed into absolute emotional cheating. We are naturally a very bantery/flirty friend group, but I spoke that way to his wife too, so I didn't think it would be mistaken for attraction to him, but now, based on how he's talking to me, it definitely has. Not for 1 second has his wife not crossed my mind. Every time I feel us teetering toward the edge of what is appropriate, I think about her and feel sick to my stomach and change the subject. I just know if I were her I'd be pissed, and if I were in a relationship I would absolutely not disrespect my partner this way. It may sound ridiculous, but I've been too much of a coward to shut it down, and I still value our friendship and friend group dynamic. We have a trip planned next year, spend some holidays together, etc. I've just never been in a situation like this before and not sure how to get out of it. I've talked to one friend about it who doesn't know him, and she says I have to cut contact, but it's harder than it sounds. We work directly next to each other at work and are assigned to the same projects, and I'm having him and his wife over for dinner this week. I genuinely feel sick at just the thought of looking at her and knowing what he said to me. They'd been married for 20 years and have a whole life together. I never picked him for the kind of guy to throw it all away for sending sexually explicit texts to a younger woman he doesn't know as well as his wife. For the record, I know I can just have an honest conversation with him and tell him we shouldn't be doing this. I know that's the mature way. But life is not black and white, and if I cut off contact with him and his wife completely, or our behavior changes in front of her, she may realize what happened and it would crush her. We've never addressed this in person, but I'd like to hear some more creative ways to make it clear to him I don't want to be physical. E.g., my friend recommended I just go on dates with guys to make it clear I feel no commitment to him. You can think this is ridiculous, but maybe someone out there will answer the question I'm actually asking. For backstory, I was divorced 7 years ago, yes, when I was 22. And have only had one serious relationship since. I rarely date, which is why that going on dates with random guys is a bit out of character for me. I know he doesn't deserve me saving his ass, but honestly I'm only thinking about his wife. I know. I should have stopped it earlier if I were thinking about her. Got it. Now any advice for going forward would be super helpful. I also know it takes two to tango, and I'm not guiltless in this at all. Just trying to fix it sooner rather than later. Story 9. Girlfriend admitted to cheating on me the day of a family member's wedding day. I, male, 27, have been dating my GF, 27, for about 9 months. Things have been great, no major issues. We had and I mean very small arguments, which were squashed pretty much immediately. Spend a lot of time together, and we really enjoy each other's company, at least I thought. So Friday was my cousin's wedding, and my GF was my priority. I told her all the details during the week, what time we'd be leaving. I'd pick her up and bring her to my house so she can get ready. I even went out of my way to get her dress pressed at the tailor as a means to be more accommodating to her. Now, since Monday, I noticed that something was off. I've become very intuitive to how she talks via text, on the phone, in person, no matter how good she thinks she is at hiding her feelings. I asked her a couple times, she said it was work stress, which wasn't abnormal. Did as much I could to help her out, even showed up at her fucking job with lunch after I got out of class Wednesday, which by the way, is an hour drive from my school. So comes Friday, I'm excited since my cousin is getting married, and I know the wedding will be a great time for the both of us since we both like to dance and such. We were meant to leave at 3 since it was a 2.5-hour drive, which my GF was aware of. At 11 a.m., I get a text from her straight up saying, "Hey, I'm not coming to the wedding." So obviously I'm concerned because it isn't like her to bow out of something, especially something that's important like this. I ask her why. She said there's, quote, "a lot going on in my head that I can't tell you right now because it will hurt you." A feeling of fucking dread came over me because I assumed it was her breaking up with me. Regardless, told her to be honest. So she drops the mother of all bombs on my ass, saying that she has cheated on me last weekend with some rando at a bar she was at with her friends. At this point it hasn't fully processed, and she then proceeds to start call bombing me, leaving voicemails, FaceTime, about 50 texts saying how sorry she is, all that nonsense. This went on for 3 hours, and I swear to God, I felt like my brain completely shut down in that time period just as a defense because I don't remember what I did, what I was thinking for the time period. I snapped out of it, and just asked her why. She went on to say it wasn't me, it was her, blah blah blah. I then shut my phone off, got ready, had to lie to my parents and sister as to why my now ex-GF wasn't at the house / coming to the wedding. The entire time I was ready to fucking throw up because now I had to sit through an entire fucking wedding, all about love and support, knowing that I no longer had someone I loved in my life. To make matters worse, I had to lie to both my cousins, they are sisters, one of them was the one getting married, as well as my entire family who was there as well. I couldn't even drink because I'd been having stomach issues, so it was just full force emotions all night. The second I got home I turned my phone on to see a slew of texts from you-know-who. I immediately blocked her number, then went to sleep. The only 2 people who know are my buddies who I told yesterday. I'm frankly fucking disgusted, and I pray to Christ she doesn't try to reach out again. Edit as of November 11, 2024. I open up Reddit and Jesus Christ, this is my first ever blow up post LMAO. Thank you to all for the kind comments, genuinely means a lot, even if they are from strangers. But I want to clarify some things first off, the age was a typo on my part. I am 28, not 27. So that's one. Number 2, and the more important, last Tuesday, for some odd reason, my cousin and her husband decided to have their wedding ceremony. I'm talking going to the church with a priest and getting married in the church. There was no party or anything afterwards. I made a previous post in another sub because I was genuinely conflicted if I was an asshole for saying no on not going to your wedding ceremony because I had class, which overlapped with the ceremony itself. This past Friday was the actual wedding party at a hall, cocktail hour, dancing, etc. etc. Also some people were asking why didn't I bother to tell anyone at the wedding. Well, because frankly, it would have been shitty of me to drop something like that on a day like that. My cousins and I are pretty close, and I know if I would have told them the truth, they would have been worrying rather than enjoying. There is plenty of time to tell them, which I will once I get more mentally / emotionally situated. I also want to emphasize, as much as I love to shitpost and fuck around, let's not resort to saying women suck. Did she suck? Oh yeah, big time, and I mean that in more ways than one if you catch my drift. But that doesn't mean all women suck. So please, for the love of all that is fucking holy, don't try and start a gender war here because frankly, I'm tired of seeing that shit everywhere I go on this site. Edit as of November 17, 2024. So, I have seen several people having the comment update me, and men oh men do I have an update. Since blocking my ex, she had not reached out, which I thought she would have, and several days have passed, until today that is. I got a random text through fucking WhatsApp, just saying hey. Not a number I recognized, so I asked who this was. I was then assaulted by about 5 pages of text, the equivalent of a PhD candidate's thesis paper, from my ex, about how she fucked up, I was a great man, the whole reach around. She went on to tell me how lonely she was since I unofficially broke up with her, and how she wishes I gave her the chance to tell her side of the story and that she would hope I would take her back. I responded not with a text, but with a single picture, The image of Squidward losing his shit laughing when he manages to prank SpongeBob during April Fool's Day, then block the number again. From this day forward, if she continues to message me from random numbers, I will respond in the same fashion, nothing more, nothing less. That is all. Hope everyone enjoyed the update. Story 10. My girlfriend cheated on me with a 16-year-old. Don't really know where to start with this situation. Me, male, 20, and my now ex, female, 20, had been together for about 2.5 years and lived together for almost 1 year. We met at a party shortly after I moved out on my own because of work, and I feel like I have to say that I wouldn't have made it these past years without her. She was amazing, or I at least thought so, but since it was my first relationship I didn't have enough experience to really know. Since it was my first relationship I did make mistakes. Even though I thought to myself that I was gonna be the perfect boyfriend, that thought is a lot harder to make a reality than people might think, especially on your first try. It is inevitable that you are gonna make mistakes, but we always work through it. But the past 6 months I felt like things hit a rough patch. We were still really close and had a great time together, but the intimate part of our relationship faded fast. I was mostly the one who initiated sex, but by the end I didn't get the same response I got only months earlier. After a while it ended with us only having sex about once a month, which was too little for me, but I didn't want to force anything or push her because of, to put it lightly, unfortunate sexual interactions she have had in the past. So I let her decide when she felt like having sex, because it was more important for me that she enjoyed herself and felt comfortable than it was for me to have sex. In the same time frame I also got really sick of my job. The boss was an asshole and it was a lot of stress and sometimes long work days. I didn't notice at the time, but now I realize that my job made me depressed and that in turn made it so that I became more emotionally available to my girlfriend. So I told her that I was having doubts about my feelings for her and that I needed a bit of time to figure them out. My girlfriend didn't take it very well and she told me later that me telling her that basically made her feelings for me disappear as well. I did not know this until after all of this shit happened. My saving grace was that I got myself a new job. It made a huge difference. I noticed that I had more energy when I came home from work and that I gradually got happier. The only downside to this was that it was far away. It was 1.5 hours one way from my parents' house and 2 hours away from where me and my girlfriend lived. So in the beginning I worked 3 days a week until I could find a place to live. This made it so that 3 days of the week my girlfriend would be alone in our apartment, which shouldn't have been a problem. It was. So one weekend we was supposed to a cabin one of my girlfriend's friends owned, but because of some drama about literally water, me and some other people suddenly couldn't come and the 16-year-old boy was suddenly invited. This didn't bother me that much because I didn't really want to go in the first place. This seems like a good place to say that my girlfriend had known this dude for about 6 months at this point and I had met him myself, so when my girlfriend asked if it was okay if they slept in the same bed because of the space available, I said it was fine because I'm not the insecure type that doesn't trust his girlfriend. On that trip it all went downhill. I didn't know this at the time, but my girlfriend had caught feelings for this lit-nosed goblin and she thought that it would be a good idea to tell him on the trip. This led to them kissing that weekend. And that week I was going to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So Monday and Tuesday my girlfriend brings him to our apartment and they decide to have sex in our bed with condoms I bought. And yes, it happened 2 days in a row. So I get back from work on Wednesday and as usual I am happy to see my girlfriend, but she says that she has something to tell me that I won't like, so she wants to sit down and eat and watch anime before she ruins the mood. This has happened before where she has something to tell me and is nervous because she thinks I'm gonna get mad, and it has been literally nothing, so I wasn't that concerned, but then I started to notice when we were cuddling on the couch that her heart was beating really fast and that she was sweating a lot, so I asked her what was wrong. That's when she told me everything. I can't really describe the feeling, no matter how hard people explain it, it can in no way describe the amount of emotions you feel in that moment. I'm not gonna say that I was perfect and that I never made any mistakes, but nothing I have ever done can justify the things she did. Cheating on someone has to be one of the worst things you can do to another person, which isn't illegal. And before you ask, the age of consent is 16. She has moved on, it seems. Her and this dude, looks like Prince Charming if he was hit by a truck, are apparently hooking up and have a casual relationship, and I am left here without anything. My problem right now is that I felt like I was feeling better, but the summer vacation all the people I know, not a lot, are done with their vacations, so I don't have anything to do. This has made my life miserable the last week and a half. I have all of these emotions that I have no idea what to do with. It feels like I'm gonna burst open. There is a million more things I could have written, but it's getting pretty long, so I feel like I have to stop here if I want people to actually finish reading. I don't know if talking about it is helping or making it worse, but I have to try something or else I don't know how to get through it. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give a like, share it with someone, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, provoke, and connect us. Thank you.